Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you very much, Viren. Good morning to the viewers. It's indeed a great honor, pleasure, and privilege for me to inaugurate this important launch for the maritime sector. We are all going through a very, very difficult, trying times due to the COVID 19 pandemic. So I will start by first saluting the seafarers of the world and Indian seafarers. I know we owe a large debt of gratitude to many frontline workers, the doctors, the paramedics, the municipal workers, government workers, banking workers, the frontline logistics workers. But I would still single out seafarers because they have been serving the mankind for months at a stretch, being thousands of miles away from their homes and families, without many a times even knowing how their loved ones back at home are coping with this very, very difficult situation. The seafarers are the true unsung heroes for mankind's fight against COVID 19. Before coming to the weekly updates, I will just mention that, as we all know, shipping and maritime, they are secondary industry and the demands are all derived demands. Their fates are linked to the fates of economy and the trade. The COVID-19 unfortunately is resulting in a severe recession for the world, and the world GDP is likely to go down by 3 to 5% in 2020. Therefore, the international trade is also likely to suffer, and there should be a decline of about 5% in the seaborne trade, and the containerized trade is likely to go down by at least 10 to 15%. So overall, it's bad news for shipping. The dry bulk rates have already crashed, and the rates are barely covering the OPEX, let alone CAPEX. The container rates have not crashed only because all the important container carriers, the 2M, the Alliance, the Global Alliance, they are all blanking off hundreds of sailings, thereby containing the capacity. And that's why the rates have only slightly come down. But going forward, I am apprehensive. Even these current rates will not be sustained and they will go down further. The only exception is the tanker market, where because of the worldwide shortage of tankage space on shore, and also particularly Russia and Saudi Arabia's haste in pumping out oil in April before the 9.7 million barrel per day supply cut became effective from May, number of VLCCs and other super tankers are getting utilized for storage of crude oil and even the oil products. So this has taken out a large chunk of supply, and the VLCC rates really shot up in April to $200,000 and more. They have now come down, but nevertheless, the storage tankers are likely to be utilized as storage for a long time. So going forward, at least for a few months, the tanker rates are likely to remain firm. The offshore segment also will suffer because the crude oil price have come down, resulting in severe decline in investments and E&P exploration in the world. So therefore, going forward, the offshore segment will also suffer. Now coming to the weekly updates. The first news I would like to mention about the concerted efforts of the government of India and the industry in making crew change possible for Indian seafarers in the overseas ports wherever permitted through charter flights. In past, the government of India, particularly the DG Shipping and Ministry of Home Affairs, they facilitated crew change in Indian shore by having various SOPs. Now that they have also formed this along with the help of Ministry of External Affairs, these particular SOPs with chartered flights, I hope that the fear that we had that Indian seafarers will lose a large number of jobs because of the difficulty in crew sign-off will now get definitely remedied. The next news I would like to cover is that of the Indian shipping's largest company, Shipping Corporation of India's profit. SCI declared a profit for 1920 of more than 300 crores, 302 crores back to be precise. SCI's tonnage in terms of deadweight is more than 70% consisting of tankers. So the tanker rates, of course, benefited SCI. And for the tanker division alone, the profit had been 736 crores. Even the offshore segment made some profit of about 74 crores. But unfortunately, the losses, substantial losses in dry bulk and also the container segments have brought down their overall profit. But even the current result is best of its kind in last few years. So definitely we must congratulate the entire SCI team for a good result. The next good thing that I would like to cover is the bunker supply from India gained some primacy over Sri Lanka because of the price advantage. This is despite the fact that in India, 5% GST is still applicable. Earlier, the GST rate was 18%. Through the industry representation, it has come down to 5%, but I sincerely hope going forward, government totally withdraws the GST on supply of bunkers, at least for bunkers being supplied on foreign going vessels. This will definitely help the Indian bunker suppliers. Coming to some bad news now, as of course expected because of the decline in trade in the 12 major ports of India in the last 2 months, April and May, there has been a 22% decline in the overall traffic handled. The biggest sufferer has been the Ennore port, where the decline was something like 46%, followed by JNP, again about 20+%. Going forward, whichever Indian port predominantly handles containerized segment will suffer more than those ports which predominantly handle the bulk cargoes, both dry bulk and liquid bulk. Then again, as far as the import of coal into India is concerned, there has been quite a steep decline. But this again was anticipated because of the COVID pandemic and the economic recession following thereof. Both the power and the steel production as well as demand have substantially come down in India. So obviously, the demand for thermal coal as well as coking coal have come down. Moreover, there is a surplus of domestic coal available in India, and government of India is trying to promote utilization of domestic coal rather than imported coal. So going forward, this is definitely going to have an impact on overall import of coal into India, which is of course not a very good news for either Indian shipping or Indian ports. Coming to another news of the iron ore decline in price. The iron ore bucking the trend for almost all the commodities had actually gained price, and the prices went up beyond $100 per metric ton. But obviously that was not sustainable. So there has been a correction during the last week. The prices have definitely come down well below $100. And going forward, despite the stimulus of China, stimulus of USA, I do believe that the demand for steel overall in the world will suffer, at least in 2020. Then of course it will all depend on whether it is a V-shaped recovery or a U-shaped recovery or a L-shaped recovery. I am no economist. I'll not like to venture on that, but definitely, at least in the forthcoming future, I don't think there will be a revision in the iron ore price in terms of going up. And iron ore price, just like all other commodities, whether it is crude oil, whether it is coal, all will remain subdued. When talking about the coal, I would like to mention one more thing, that it appears that government of India has given some relaxation in the ash content for use of coal in the steel plants. Now this, many believes, is a rather retrograde step. Of course, it does help the domestic coal vis-a-vis the imported coal. And all these reasons I mentioned earlier also, all these reasons may result in subdued coal import for quite some time, despite very low international oil prices. I would like to end by just covering one more news, which really is not in true sense a maritime news, but it's a very, very important news. That's why I would like to mention it here. It's about the spillage of 20,000 metric tons of diesel oil into the Arctic region in Siberia, near Norilsk city. Due to the Norilsk nickel plants fuel tank being, not only leaked, but the collapse of the fuel tank. The Greenpeace has compared this accident to that of Exxon Valdez in 1989. And I think in the modern history of Russia, this has been one of the biggest accidents. This unfortunately threatens the environment of something like 350 square kilometers. And we can only hope that despite the narrowness and shallowness of the river, Russia and the world community can manage to contain the environmental damage to the aquatic, flora, fauna, and everything else. Though this is an area where I think maritime is not really that much prevalent, but nevertheless, as I said, this is one of the worst accidents in the history of modern Russia, which has compelled the Russian President Putin to actually declare a state of emergency. So I thought I would mention this as well. Thank you, viewers. God bless the world. God bless India. God bless the global and Indian maritime sector and the entire seafaring community. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable time that you have spared with us. And we wish you a very happy weekend, sir.
Thank you, Viren. Thank you very much.